click on, don't.
So there's the comparison between the kisses and the wine, and there's another comparison to wine later. It seems like there's it's putting up kind of ecstasy on the one hand, but a clear-headed version in a sense. The wine is physically intoxicating. It's that really is a physical effect on you. The ecstasy kind of from the whatever the metaphor is at the beginning, it's a more clear-headed one. You still have your full faculties, the ability to experience it more. So if it's the Torah or if it's something more literal, you're completely in the experience.
Are you, wait, in what way are you still with your faculties and not completely drunk? Who has their faculties, the reader? Or this is what I'm.
It strikes me as for as the reader, you're.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's what I was trying to understand, because you're reading about an intoxicating experience, but you yourself are not intoxicated. However, as you suggested, actually through reading the text, you're going through a search. You may even be intoxicated through the emotional triggers that are in the text, emotional images and metaphors that may cause your mind or your heart to think. Yeah,
And physical ones as well.
Physical as well, yes.
People have been writing erotic literature for a long time, and humans do respond to that.
Correct. Yes, they do.
In a way that they will respond to a flesh and blood human.
Right.
Can do that.
It triggers the imagination. It triggers the imagination, the thought, and we even have psychosomatic response to these ideas. And okay. And oops, I just brought back this. Oh yes. So we were talking about the sages and saying, how can it be that this erotic, like you're saying, erotic literature, how is it that it became canonized in the Bible? People like Rabbi Akiva, great Chacham Gadol, this great scholar, who was one of the main proponents of Song of the Songs, calls it the holiest of holies. And later on they said, had the Torah not been given, the Song of Songs would have sufficed to guide the world. This is what you were saying. Yeah. It doesn't have any explicit explanation of do this, don't do this, and you will be rewarded, or you will be a just person, or gives you guidelines for morality. There's no guidelines for morality here. And yet they're saying, had the Torah not be given, that would be guide enough. Where are the commandments here? Yeah.
I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but William James talked about intoxication makes everything one for a while.
Ooh.
Good.
Ooh.
There's
Who wants to
talking
talk
about, eventually it can be destructive, but the intent is to make things one for a while.
Mm-hmm. Anyone want to
Which
say?
sort of fits this.
Anyone want to say anything? That's great. I love that. So, sometimes, it's funny because I was just reading about Ram Dass. Ram Dass was a spiritual leader. I don't know if he's still alive. But anyway, he was a psychologist from Harvard who started experimenting with LSD, right? Some of you may know the story. And what LSD does is it gives you that intoxication, which makes you feel like all is one. That is exactly what we're searching for here, the divine union, being in divine union. What are we after? What is this thing? What is this ultimate thing that we're after? But then what he said, because I was just reading him, because I'm studying to be a yoga teacher, by the way. So we have to read all sorts of literature. It's fascinating. And I've also read it in other places, but I encountered it again. Those are shortcuts to feeling the divine. But the only true way to feel the divine is when you're completely sober, when you're with your full faculties. And so in this book, we're talking about drunkenness. We're talking about these things, but we're not actually drunk. We're with our full faculties, and yet we can see everything. We can see everything, the multiple meanings, and always knowing that there's one more meaning that we may not know, but that's also part of it. I mean, that's also part of it. Beautiful. I love this. This is great. So let's continue, because we could just stay here forever, I know. And hold on, let me just get the next verses up. So we're going to move forward. Let's see what time is it. Yes. Yeah. We will continue to the next verse. It's verse, chapter 1, verse 5. I'll read it to you. You know what? I will read it first, and then we'll go deeper into the text. So it begins, just what I mentioned to people who are new here, I was talking about the beauty of the Hebrew language. So don't worry about not understanding. First, just let's hear the beautiful sounds of the original text. I speak with a modern Hebrew accent. We'll never know exactly what it sounded like, but we can get a sense. So I'm just going to read, and then we're going to go into depth. So just so you can hear, and maybe I'll have you repeat after me later some certain lines. So, שחורה אני בנבה בנות ירושלים, כאוהלי קידר, כיריות שלמה. אל תראוני שאני שחרחורת, ששזפתני השמש. בני אמי נחרו בי, שמוני נותרה את הכרמים, כרמי שלי לא נתתי. So, let's just read the first line together. You might notice the sibilance again. שחורה אני, again, שחורה אני, בנבה, בנות ירושלים. Then we're going to drop down because I want you to read this line here. Al tiruni, let's read from there. Al tiruni, ואני שחרחורת, ששזפתני השמש. ששזפתני השמש. Okay, we're having these very sensual sounds again.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Is that on our handout too?
Should be on page, you'll have it, yeah. Page,
Oh, the translation's not there.
oh, I'm sorry, guys. I guess the transliteration is not on the sheet, but it's up here.
Yeah,
It's just, yeah, it's a lot. I tried to get it all in, but I didn't actually do that one. I forgot to do that one. Okay, sorry about that. But I just wanted you to hear that again, and it's intentional. And when you hear the Sfaradi, I mentioned this before. We have Song of Songs in our literature, in our liturgy. People, when I asked, it was surprising it's surprising that we don't even notice it, but Kabbalat Shabbat, Lecha Dodi, Bikat Kala. Lecha Dodi is a direct, it's obviously it's a poem that was written based on Song of Songs. But that opening, Lecha Dodi, Dodi, the love, go my beloved, Dodi is beloved, and Kala is bride. These are direct references to the Song of Songs. So when you hear, I've heard such beautiful renderings of this Song of Songs. The Sephardi community reads the entire Shir Shirim in the evening prayer before Kabbalat Shabbat every Friday. every Friday. They read the whole thing. They sing it, and there's some really beautiful. The Moroccan one is really beautiful, and the Yerushalmi melodies are just heartbreaking. I love to listen to it. But you see how they sing it every day before Kabbalat Shabbat, because Kabbalat Shabbat represents the divine, precisely this divine union. And if you, I think they should, we were talking about this, I don't know if we're gonna do it, but I think there should be a whole course just on Lecha Dodi. That's a whole other story. But if you listen, these words are intentional. The choice of words are intentional, always, because it's poetry. It's poetry. It's not just about the meanings, but also about the sounds. So, shechorani. Let's go now to the translation. And I'm gonna walk you through this because I translated differently on your sheets and I translated differently here because there are many ways to understand it. So, shechora ani means shechora. Shechora means black, or it means dark. Shechor is black in modern Hebrew. So she's saying shechora ani. Black am I. Venava. Black am I, Venava, which is, okay, I'm going to pop back and forth here so you can see it. Venava. She doesn't say I'm black and, she doesn't say, in Hebrew it would be like Shora Venava. Black and beautiful I am. She says, black I am and beautiful. It's like an afterthought. What do you think that suggests?
It suggests an assumption that black is not beautiful.
That is one way to look at it. It's definitely, there's an opposition going on, because she could have just said I'm black and beautiful, but she's announcing I am black and beautiful. And in Hebrew, the ve can be depending on how it's in the sentence, can be but. It can be like but. I am black but beautiful. And then at the end of the sentence, Banot Yerushalayim, O daughters of Jerusalem. So the first line is, what does it say? It says, I am black, yet also beautiful, O daughters of Jerusalem. I'm stopping here for a moment, because even though it seems literally, does that seem pretty straightforward, literally?
Yeah, really.
No, it doesn't seem straightforward. What are your thoughts?
No, but
I
think the discussion's moved on.
Okay, so the thing is that we have now, we had Dodi, we have Kala, we have like Dodi was the beloved, and we have the speaker who goes on nameless. We can talk about her also if you want, but we'll talk about her a little bit later. She has no name. Yes, she's speaking, has no name. Yes, you want a question?
Yeah, just put it, this, so had it read, I am tall and beautiful,
Mhm.
both, but one kind of beautiful is tall, it's short and beautiful,
Mhm.
black and beautiful,
Okay.
so.
I think that, forgive me because I stopped on the first line, but if you read further, that will qualify. It will give us a little more background as to really how she feels about black. There's a question about it.
Mhm.
So let's read the English just to give you the background, these two verses. I'll read it out loud to you. I am black, yet also beautiful, O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the tapestries of Shlomo. Do not gaze upon me for being dark or dusky. The word is shachachoret, because first she says shachora, black, and then she says shachachoret, which could be interpreted as like the diminutive, a diminutive kind of form, like a nickname, shachor, shachachoret, like, Okay, so don't gaze on me because I'm dark, because the sun has, excuse me, has glared at me. My mother's sons were incensed with me. They put me out to guard the vineyards. My own vineyards I did not guard. So how did she get black? What is this blackness?
So much time in the sun.
Tan.
Tan. Yeah. Like that's the literal interpretation. She's dark because why?
She had to work.
Because she had to work, because they put her out to work. Now, this is a curious line. My mother's sons were incensed with me. They put me out to guard the vineyards. My own vineyards I did not guard. How do you understand that? This is a little bit puzzling.
Are those her brothers?
Good question. Good question. Why is the choice of words? Why did she say my brothers put me out to guard the vineyards? She says my mother's sons put me out to guard. They were angry at me.
Could be a different father.
Could be a different father, literally.
They weren't a close family, whatever.
Maybe they weren't a close family. It serves to kind of distance them. They're my mother's sons. She doesn't feel brotherly towards them. I don't know. Or maybe what else?
Jealousy.
Jealousy, anger, maybe an anger. It's like an anger. You don't want to call them my brothers. They're my mother's sons. Or like you say, you might say that you'd say to your, like I say to my husband, he's your son. He's your son. I would like to suggest, yeah,
Is this like a kind of a sexual metaphor? She says, my own vineyard, I did not
Yeah.
guard.
ooh,
Mhm.
could be very well. I think, in fact, yes, I think so, yes. So why are they mad at her? Mad at her because she didn't guard. She was supposed to be out guarding and she didn't. But wait, what is the kind of twist here? What is the confusing kind of? They sent her out to guard the vineyards. Why should they be angry? Whose fault is it? Go ahead.
In the Hebrew, is it clear that she is the one to guard the vineyards?
Yes. So she said, B'nai Imi, the sons of my mother, Nacharubi. They were incensed with me, literally incensed. By the way, I want you to notice, we're going to talk about the language a little bit briefly. They were incensed. They were angered with heat. It's like to be incensed means to be like hot-headed angry. It's like there's heat in the word incense, right?
Mhm.
They were angry with heat.
Like the sun?
Like the sun who glared at her and turned her black. The word shazafapni also means lishtazef, which means to tan, to darken the skin with the sun, but it also means to look at. But it's kind of to glare, like a burning glare. People do it, it's a human can glare like that as well. So we're kind of personifying the sun. The sun looks with anger at her. Her brothers, her mother's sons look with anger at her. Like there's a hot theme going on here. It's a lot of heat and burning. Yeah.
Is there contrast being set up for the male roles in the song? There's the lover on the one hand, where all the descriptions are very positive, but all the other male inflected things, at least at the beginning, are incensed with her, angry with her.
Good
There's
point.
a contrast. being set
Yes,
up.
good point. Next week, I'm going to bring us two passages a little bit later that we're going to compare, where you're going to meet some more masculine figures, and I won't give it away, no spoilers. But there are two things that are kind of like parallel stories that it looks like it repeats itself, but doesn't quite repeat itself. It's like there's a repetition in the text, but it's not an exact repetition. And we're going to compare them. I'm going to give it to you to study. And there appears the guards of the walls of the city. And you can look and see how they're portrayed. So yeah, there's a whole, we could go into a whole long discussion about the way women appear in this and men, and I just, to say very briefly, if you've noticed, so far we've basically mostly only had a female speaker. She's open, she's the predominant voice, though she doesn't have a name. It opens with the name of Shlomo, who's a man, but we don't hear his voice. We only hear her voice, but she has no name. Interesting, right? Think about that. Her name appears later. Also, I'm careful to say her name because you might say, is it the same woman throughout? I don't know, but okay. There's a woman mentioned later on, chapter 7 out of 8 chapters. Her name appears in the beginning of the 7th chapter of 8 chapters, near the end. Shulamit. What is that? Like literally? Who is Shulamit?
Well, you said
We're
the
gonna-
et before, is it the same et that you referred to with the black before?
Same.
The little,
Oh, Shachol Choret.
yeah. Is that the little?
Yeah, well.
Or is it like Shlomo?
Well, when you put a taf at the end, it's kind of a feminine form, so
Okay.
Shulamit is like if you think about it, it's like the feminine form of
Shlomo.
Shlomo. So we'll think about that maybe next week also.
I thought that Shulamit was the Hebrew name for Judith.
Oh, interesting, for Judith? I didn't know that. No, that's Yodit. But Shlomit is, Shulamit, these are different modern forms of Shulamit. Shlomit and Shulamit are modern Hebrew names. Shlomit is more common. Shulamit is like the more biblical name. I lost track now. We kind of jumped away from this, and I was just trying to quickly say, so we don't know who she is. What was the last question? Sorry, last.
Why would she have her own vineyard unless it's a metaphor for something?
Right, so why would she have her own vineyard? That's another thing. This woman, she tends vineyard,
Well, it doesn't have to be her vineyard. She's being sent to tend the family.
the family vineyards. But then in the last line, she says, "Oh, Mishali, my vineyards, I did not tend," and that made you think that she's not actually talking about vineyards. Here we are again. Are we really talking about vineyards here?
I don't think so.
Right.
And that's,
Doesn't sound.
Yes.
when we look at this, like there it says, I am black, or here,
Mhm.
I am dark. We're saying this is about skin tone or something. This could be about personality.
Ooh, good point. Good point. Yes, definitely. But so the assumption, this is a good point. She says, I'm black. If we have time, I don't know if we're gonna have time today, but I will show you what like the allegories would say about that. What is blackness, allegorically speaking? We'll look at that maybe just really briefly. But she says, I am black. We don't know what she means by that. Later, she does mention the sun, Ani Choret, because the sun has glared upon me. So that kind of makes you think she was talking about skin, but it could mean that, it could not. It could have, again, we have multiple things going on. So, my question is this. Is she apologetic here, proud, ashamed? Because what is she saying? Is she proud of her blackness, or she is ashamed of her blackness? Is she apologizing for it, or is she defending it? It's a question here, because now I just want to quickly look at the second line says, like the tents of Kedar. I'm going to tell you about this a little bit, just so you give you background. Like I am black and yet also beautiful, I'm going to say, O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the tapestries of Shlomo. So you have the tents of Kedar. Kedar is a Bedouin tribe. So
What did you say?
Bedouin tribe. Kedar is a place outside of Jerusalem, a little bit out in the desert areas, like the desert hills, where you would take, where they would take their sheep. And these are Bedouin tents, and to this day, they make the traditional tents that aren't made out of like plastic tarps or something. They still make, the fine tents are made of a black goat hair.
Oh.
So the Ohale Kedal also, I saw an interpretation that Kedal also means dark somewhere, but I don't exactly know. I don't know that interpretation. I was trying to figure out, because I don't, but maybe it has to do with the black goat hair. So, but also like the tapestries of Shlomo. So you have elegant royal tapestries and you have Bedouin tents. Do you see the contrast? So she's saying, I'm like the tents, but I'm also like Shlomo's tapestries.
Rich and poor.
Rich and poor, we have contrasting images here. So she's, and the other thing that I wanted to ask you is, notice that we have a third character here. Like I said, we have the unnamed speaker woman. We have Dodi slash Shlomo, you know, the beloved. I don't know if it's always a question. Is Shlomo the beloved that she's talking to, or is there another guy here? I don't know, but okay. And now we have a third character between the dialogue of the man and the woman. We have suddenly, O daughters of Jerusalem. Why is she calling out to the daughters of Jerusalem now? Why did she bring her? This third character comes into the triangle. Why does she feel the need to say, hey, I am black, and yet I am also beautiful, Banot Yerushalayim? Why does she bring them in? Why does she talk to
To
them?
teach them something, or?
To teach them? What does she want to teach them?
Deal with it.
To deal with it?
Yeah, I am black and beautiful.
And
Deal with it.
Well, yeah. But the use of saying I am black and beautiful has such overtones in our society because of race
today,
today.
how about then? Good question.
You know, we're so embedded with those assumptions.
So again, I'll just bring it back to the fact that she works as a laborer in the field
Yeah.
and so becomes dark.
Yeah, I was
So,
gonna say,
mhm.
she's
Not
sort of saying, it's not my fault in the next line. The sun's burned me because of this thing my mother's sons have done to me.
Mhm.
So she's almost saying, it's not really my fault this happened, and, you know, my own vineyard I did not guard, sort of putting the blame on others. So I would say it's possible that when she says, "O daughters of Jerusalem," she might be kind of extending her hand to other women that this sort of thing has happened to.
So she's actually looking for validation and comfort, and is that what you're saying? Like looking for
Warning.
what?
Also warning. She's
Warning, okay, maybe.
Or teaching, you know, it's like black is beautiful, to the daughters of Jerusalem who might be out tending the vineyards also
Mhm.
and are dark.
Mhm.
And she's saying, I'm dark, but I'm beautiful. And think about that, maybe you are too.
So, yes, so she's trying to, so are you meaning we are beautiful, be
Right.
proud.
Right.
Okay, you can read it that way as well. And so that brings me lovely to since in the little time that we have left, I'm bringing you, does anybody know who this is? This is Ofra Chaza. She passed away in 2000, but she was a very popular singer. She was like a real diva. Everybody loved her. So she was an Israeli singer of Yemenite descent. And I'm going to play you this song, but let me just tell you a little background about it first. So actually, around the time of what is it? The expulsion from Spain. And people were speaking a kind of a Ladino, right? There was a Ladino culture that emerged. So this song that she revived and she translated to Hebrew was originally a Ladino song. And it was called, it's Shahoret. And in Ladino, it's called Morenica, because more means dark, and Morenica is that, like I told you, the diminutive, kind of like a kind of a cute end, like a term of endearment almost. Okay, so the original is Morenica, and what she does is, actually, she's not the first person to bring it back into popular culture in Israel, but she was the one who really popularized it and made it popular because she mixed her Yemenite background and her Yemenite musical language together with the Ladino language, together with, she fused Yemenite tradition, Ladino tradition, and, you know, contemporary pop music all together. And she made this beautiful song. And I just want to, speaking of, like we said, was it about when she says, I am black, yet I'm also beautiful? Wasn't it a declaration of pride, perhaps? So, if you know a little bit about Israeli history of the time, this was in 1976. In the 1970s, there was a movement called the Black Panthers, not to be mistaken with the American Black Panthers, but black. So anyone of Mizrahi origin, and still today, maybe less so, but they still call themselves Shorim, like they consider their skin tone Shol, dark, as opposed to the white dominant Ashkenazi class. So there was like, this was a matter of pride. So it was kind of in response to that. So when you say Shechochot, it's, you know, I think maybe interesting that everybody loved the song, and maybe it's sort of, she came to represent, she became like the global ambassador of music, of Israeli, Middle Eastern music, and marginalized voices like the Mizrahi singers. So I'm just gonna play it for you. So I'm gonna play it for you. Yeah, let me see if this works. I don't know why it's not. Hold on a second. Listen to the musical influences, see if you can hear it. I'll just play a part of it. You have the words also. You have the words on, if you want to know the translation, it's on page 8. Just to give you a taste. And then I'm gonna just play you in the background. Ooh, I can't. Can't move to the next slide. How do I do it? There. So then later, I'm just gonna briefly say, then Shlomo Bar is a male singer. also did a version later, which is interesting because it's sung in the female voice, but it's very common for male singers to sing songs from the Song of Song, even though it's in the feminine, which is also interesting because he was also someone who brought the Middle Eastern music into popularity. But I want to go back, and I'm just going to play this in the background, this is actually, I found this beautiful rendition. Morenica is the original Ladino. I'm just gonna, so you can hear what the original, well, it's not really the original, it's a modern rendition of the original melody sung by a contemporary young woman. She's just does a beautiful job. I just
was thinking one
yeah,
ways.
sorry.
Were your words creating your brand, your opportunity,
I don't know how to skip it.
have solutions that meet you where you are. Thank you, where you want to go.
Where was it skip? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. How does this work? Oh, there it is. Bear with me. I just wanted to play this for the end. So what if we should just be in the background? So forgive me for speaking over it since we don't have a lot of time. The significance of Morenica is the same. You were asking, I think that, I don't know, maybe it's the bottom here. The significance is, like we said, blackness or the dark skin is associated with, is discriminated in some ways as being poor, lower class, or from another social, strata. And so when they sang of Morenica, they sang it with pride. They sang about the experience of the dark woman and maybe a predominantly, in the predominant society. It was a way to recover their pride in themselves and their culture. And we can perhaps see it as well in the Song of Songs, which is also a marginalized voice in the Bible as well. How many books in the Bible do you hear such a predominant female voice, even if she is unnamed, as an unnamed. Oh, there we go. I can control the volume. So that was what I wanted to present. So something to leave you with, the idea of a poet, the marginalized voice, and how it regains, or how it's empowered here. And we did mention Kabbalat Shabbat, and I just wanted to mention again, Kabbalat Shabbat and the Hadodi is another prayer that elevates the feminine aspect of God. So what is this poem perhaps doing? What is this book doing? And the Kabbalists held this book very, very highly because they, among other things, if you know, Kabbalists' theology is very, it's the allegories and the symbolic symbolism is very erotic, but it's divine erotic again. And so, and what's very important for the Kabbalists as well is elevating the feminine aspect of God to be in balance with the masculine aspect. So, just something to think about. Until next week. Thank you, and good evening, and ride have a safe.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
At the door.
Oh, yeah, yeah.